Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of The Flash and another solid episode. I really enjoyed this one. We pretty much picked up right where we left off with the nuclear explosion between Dr. Stein and Ronnie Raymond. Obviously, the team was trying to separate them and they weren't sure if they were going to be able to do it. And they wanted to take them as far away from everybody in case it did they exploded pretty much, and it turns out that they're okay, and they bring them back to S.T.A.R.S lab, and it's our first time seeing Dr. Stein as Dr. Stein and Ronnie Raymond separated. So we find out that they both are exhibiting fevers, and even though they've been separated, and I love that they're really snarky with each other at the beginning. They don't quite get along. Like Ronnie's complaining that if he was the one driving the two of them and they were flying, that they'd be have done it better, and he's like, complaining that they were living under a bridge and eating garbage. Like it was just really cute. It was kind of like a little father son team, and they were just like both nitpicking at one another, and I really kind of enjoyed that. I thought it was absolutely adorable. So we come to find out that they are both feeling side effects from one another. So at one point, Dr. Stein is like craving pizza, and we realized earlier that Ronnie likes pizza. And then later on, when something starts to happen to Ronnie, Dr. Stein starts to feel it. So they're obviously separated, but not quite separated as we all believed. And so that really takes us to where most of this storyline goes, which is actually quite entertaining. I really did enjoy it. So we had the return of General Eiling, and they obviously in last week's episode heard or there was like they realized that there was a nuclear explosion, and so they went to investigate. So they obviously know all about Firestorm, and they realize that they've been separated, and they want to find out all the information that there is about Firestorm. And when Dr. Stein was injured or believed to be dead after the particle exploded, they took all of Dr. Stein's research. So Eiling knows a lot about what is going on and all the research that Dr. Stein had been doing. So he wants to know more, and he wants more information, and so he goes to Harrison, and he pretty much threatens him with the identity of Barry, because he knows that the Flash is Barry, because in many episodes ago it was revealed to him, and obviously we didn't realize that he saw him, but he did. So Harrison very sneakily drugs Dr. Stein so that General Eiling can take him. And of course, this is when the team works together, not realizing that Harrison is in on it. And they work together to try and find out where Dr. Stein is. And then that way they can help extract him, and then possibly have Ronnie merge once again with Dr. Stein, even though knowing that if they merge, they might not be able to separate again. But they figure that if they don't merge, if Dr. Stein is killed, then Ronnie's dead anyway. So I really like that, even though they didn't get along in the beginning, that they really work together, and they're able to fight off General Eiling and his Looney Tune friends, and they actually are able to win this one. And it's actually really good because we see some really good bonding moments between the two of them as well as with the team. And I thought it was really funny when Barry was what was it that was all over him? There was some kind of like acid or something all over him, and so in order for it not to burn through his suit and him, he had to like run really quickly in like a kind of like a tornado, like just run in a circle so that it wouldn't be able to burn him. So I love at the end when General Eiling's about to kill Ronnie, of course, the Flash steps in and saves the day. And he's like, man, I was running for a really long time. There was a lot of really cute one-liners in this episode. I thought there were a couple cute ones. And of course, we got to see Ronnie and Caitlin rekindle their relationship. And even Cisco throws out like, oh yeah, he forgot how awkward it was to see the two of them making out all the time. I thought it was a really, good moment that those guys got to have, because let's face it, they were separated so dramatically. And then the last kind of couple times that they've seen each other, it was always really awkward because he wasn't really Ronnie. And now that he finally is, he actually wanted to leave with her. And she's like, well, but our whole lives are here. And then at the end, when Ronnie and Dr. Stein are able to merge and then unmerge from each other very successfully, they realize that they have to leave. They've got to go to Pittsburgh. I think it was Pittsburgh, or Philadelphia, or one of those two places, and where they can get some more information on how to function as these new metahumans. So they really do end up bonding at the end of the day. And again, right before they leave, as Ronnie's about to zoom up, he says, "We love you." And that was a really great moment because Dr. Stein's wife is there, she's there, Caitlin is there, and they both love their significant others, but they just can't be with them right now. So great storyline. I thought it all worked. And then of course, we had at the end Harrison dressed up as the other Flash, or what did we call him? The Reverse Flash. Sorry, forgot there for a second. So he was dressed up as the Reverse Flash. He grabbed General Eiling. He took him down into like this sewer well, and he reintroduced him to Gorilla Grodd. Grodd. Damn it! I always say his name wrong. Gorilla Grodd. And he's even like grunting, and you can hear him like roaring in the background, and then he's actually talking. I have no idea, guys. Like, this is all new to me. I did not read the comics, so I'm going with the flow as this show keeps moving forward. And he basically grabs General, and he is terrified when he realizes who's coming up behind him. And he grabs him, and off he goes. So I feel like that is the end of General Eiling. I'm pretty sure it is. So yeah, I really did enjoy the Dr. Stein and Ronnie follow-up to last week's episode. I thought they did a really great job. Just sort of fleshing out both of their characters, and even having Barry go to see Dr. Stein on a separate matter and talking about time travel. And why is Barry talking about time travel? Because Joe, the best stepfather anyone can have. Shouldn't even, it's not his stepfather. He's basically his adoptive father. He is just like, there's just nothing but honesty between the two of them, and that's what I really like. And he tells him right off the top of the episode that him and Cisco were recreating the scene of the mother's murder, and he explains how they found out all of this information, and now he realizes that he was there in the future as grown-up Barry. Yeah, very confusing, but he was. And he takes it, and he's trying to process this, and he goes to Dr. Stein, and he starts to ask him all these questions about time travel, and how is this possible, and what will this mean if he tries to do this again. And because basically what happens in the past is that I fail, and that's basically the legacy of what's going to happen. But Barry is now determined to change the past. So very interesting to see if that is going to actually happen. Of course, we had some really awkward moments between Iris and her dad, and Barry and Caitlin and Ronnie. And it's one of those things. Can we just tell Iris the truth, please? Because them all lying to her, and now her getting this new assignment, and her trying to figure out what exactly is going down at S.T.A.R.S lab, and her realizing that the fireman, or was that what we called him? The fireman? That he probably worked at S.T.A.R.S lab because she saw a picture of Ronnie, and she even says to him, "You look familiar." So, it's one of those things where you're just like, can you just let her into the fold? Because this will obviously, I think, make Iris's character a far stronger character on the show, because she always just seems to be working outside the circle, and nobody's telling her the truth, and then she's going to find out all this information anyway, and then realize that her father's lying to her, her best friend has been lying to her, Caitlin, Cisco, everybody that she thinks is her friend is lying to her. So now she's on the case, and she is obviously not going to stop until she figures out what's going on. So yeah, that happened. But I did enjoy all the other stuff that was going on in this episode. And again, Joe and Barry, they're just great together. They really are. And they always have these really honest conversations. So even when Joe reveals to Barry that everything that happened, and then he feels really guilty that he's supposed to be there to protect him as his guardian, and yet now he feels like he's just unleashed a whole new set of drama on Barry that he has to process, which is the fact that he was there witnessing his mother's murder as an adult, and he just feels really bad about it. And he's like, no, don't feel bad, like this is something obviously that I have to figure out. And he says, and he asks Joe, how is it that you knew that it was my blood? And then, of course, because Barry's not an idiot, he says, you think that Dr. Wells had something to do with my mom's murder. And of course, Joe doesn't say no, but he doesn't say yes. He's just kind of like, he doesn't trust him. And so then Barry once again says, Dr. Wells had nothing to do with my mother's murder. So it's one of those moments where you're just like, I hope Barry's not wrong. But at the same time, I just, with everything that's so suspect about Harrison, I just don't know. I don't know. And then at the end, when he reveals himself as the Reverse Flash to General Eiling, he says, what does he say? He says, I'm going to protect my family or something like that. So, you just don't really know. And that's one of the things I really like about Harrison's character. He's not black and white. There's so much gray, and he does things to protect Barry, but then he does things that you're just like, he's so shady. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this storyline takes us. But another solid episode. And I like that at the end, Caitlin was like, yeah, I'm not so devastated this time that Ronnie's gone, because I think she really knows that he's going to come back and that what he's doing is for the greater good of Central City, and that she's not alone, like he is still there. So I thought all that was good. And I also love the little banter between Cisco and Joe when Harrison was trying to explain the whole time travel thing, and and Joe, like the rest of us, is like, huh? And then he's like, like Terminator. It's like, oh yeah. And even I was like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And then he's like, and he starts explaining something else, and he's like, like Back to the Future, and it's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's just funny because us, non-scientific people, or people that know anything about this stuff, I was just kind of like, say what now? But I thought that was all very cute, kind of dumbing it down for the audience, because hello, people like me don't really know all that stuff, a lot about time travel. But again, it was a solid story, and I like that, Iris also isn't just letting the wool, she's just not trying to be in the dark about all of this. She wants to figure out what is going on at S.T.A.R.S lab. Even though she knows that S.T.A.R.S lab saved her best friend, she now realizes that there's something more going on there. So we'll see what she finds out, and what might put her in danger is going to be very interesting to find out. Okay, guys, that's it for me. I'm sorry I was really wordy at the end there, but I did enjoy this episode. I thought it was a good return of General Eiling. Whether this might be the last sighting of him remains to be seen. And again, another solid follow-up to last week's episode with the nuclear explosion and not knowing if Ronnie and Dr. Stein actually got killed. So there it is, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.